Thank you, sir. Yes. So, as I was saying, that with Avinash sir's wise words, let's start our unlearning and relearning. So, for the day one session, we have the advocate Gitika Jain. Advocate Gitika Jain is a senior legal professional with about 14 years of experience in practicing before high courts of Bombay and Goa. She is a gold medalist in law, silver medalist in LLM, and is currently pursuing a PhD in law. She is a notary public and a Guinness World Record holder. She currently serves as the academic and alliance manager at Manupatra, a leading Indian legal edutech platform. Her areas of expertise include civil and criminal litigation, real estate and property law, media and entertainment law, government legal advisory and policy making. Along with that, legal education and edutech strategy. Advocate Jain has played a significant role in reducing the government's burden of false litigation, advising and representing top-tier law firms and corporates, and contributing to legal policy formulation through her work with departments of finance and of Government of Maharashtra and Andhra Pradesh. She is a published author in Times of India and recipient of multiple academic honors. Beyond practice, she is a national speaker, an international conference speaker, a visiting faculty at premier Indian law schools, and a judge at prestigious national moot court competitions. Outside the courtroom, she is a marathoner and a trekker, having represented India in global expeditions. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us today. I request you to please share your expertise with us. Over to you, ma'am.
सभी को सबसे पहले गुड इवनिंग एंड थैंक यू सो मच कल्पेश सर, संगीता मैम एंड अनमोल मैम फॉर इंट्रोड्यूसिंग मी टू ऑल द academicians, professors, faculties present in the room. सभी को मेरा नमस्कार and happy new year to each one of you. I'm extremely grateful to Law Teachers India and to Kalpesh sir for inviting me for this particular session. Am I audible? Am I visible first of all? आप मुझे
Yes,
सुन
ma'am.
सकते हैं, मुझे देख सकते हैं, राइट? ओके. सो
Yes, ma'am.
फर्स्टली आई
Yes,
एम
ma'am.
एक्सट्रीमली ग्रेटफुल कि आपने मनु पात्रा के साथ कोलैबोरेट करके मुझे इनवाइट किया. एंड दिस इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट सेशन बिकॉज एआई का जो टॉपिक है, इट इज सच एन इम्पॉर्टेंट डिस्कशन, स्पेशली एज academicians इन लॉ फैकल्टीज एंड इवन एज प्रोफेसर्स. ना सिर्फ हम बच्चों को यूज करते हुए देख रहे हैं, और हम देख रहे हैं कि किस तरीके से वो हमारे टीचिंग प्रोफेशन में भी एंटर हुआ है. So I believe this is the need of the hour. So I'm extremely grateful to Sambita ma'am and Kalpesh sir for keeping this FDP particularly 7-8 days. उन्होंने टाइम निकाल के ये सेशन हम सभी academicians के लिए प्रेफर किया है. So thank you so much for having me, and Anmol ma'am, thank you so much for a wonderful introduction. सभी फैकल्टीज और academicians के साथ मैं यही कहना चाहूंगी कि मैं यहाँ कुछ आइडियाज, कुछ थॉट्स, कुछ चीजें शेयर करने आई हूँ, बिकॉज मैं ये भी जानती हूँ दैट मोस्ट ऑफ यू माइट बी हु आर वे मोर एक्सपीरियंस देन मी. सो व्हाट आई विल बी प्रोबेबली टीचिंग और व्हाट आई विल बी शेयरिंग टुडे इज मोर रादर लाइक अ डिस्कशन. तो मुझे ये कहना है कि आज हम एक ओपन प्लेटफॉर्म पे हैं जहाँ पे कुछ चीजें मैं शेयर करूंगी, कुछ आप अपने साथ शेयर कर सकते हैं यहाँ पे अपने ओपन आइडियाज. एंड लेट्स बिगिन. So the first topic for the day, just allow me to share my screen with you. Yes. So आपको मेरी screen दिख रही है? Just give me a thumbs up or a yes.
Yes,
If it is
ma'am.
okay. So see,
Yes.
the topic for today is introduction to the use of AI in teaching and research in law. So जब ये टॉपिक मेरे पास आया था, जब कल्पेश सर ने शेयर भी किया था, तो मेरा फर्स्ट थॉट ये था कि टेक्नोलॉजी की जब हम बात करते हैं ना. अच्छा, बाय द वे, इज एवरीबडी कंफर्टेबल? आई एम यूजिंग हिंदी एंड इंग्लिश. सभी को कंफर्टेबल है, और यू वांट मी टू यूज ओनली इन इंग्लिश? जैसे आप लोग कंफर्टेबल हों, बिकॉज आई प्रेफर कि हमारी वाइड ऑडियंस है तो वी कैन हैव इट इन बोथ वेज, इफ एवरीवन इज फाइन.
Yes, ma'am. Whatever is comfortable with you.
ओके. ओके. सो थैंक यू सो मच. सो सी, एक समय ऐसा था जब ह्यूमंस वर सो एडवांस्ड कि हम हर एक चीज को अपने ही तरीके से करते थे, एंड देयर केम अ पॉइंट वेयर कैलकुलेटर्स एंटर्ड आवर लाइफ. सो मैं स्टार्ट ही उसी चीज से कर रही हूँ कि हमारी लाइफ को इजी बनाने के लिए, just as calculators changed the way we look at mathematics, they did not replace us. Okay, they actually made our work and calculation easier. उसी तरीके से AI, जैसे सर ने कहा था towards the end of the lecture while he was exiting, that AI is changing the way we approach the legal education, और उसी से मैं ही स्टार्ट कर रही हूँ कि AI is changing the way we are gonna approach the legal education. It is not replacing us because human intelligence is always gonna be on the top. वो हमेशा सर्वप्रथम ऊपर ही रहेगी. तो आप ये मत कभी सोचिएगा कि हमें रिप्लेस करने आए, नहीं. हमारी ह्यूमन इंटेलिजेंस जिस तरीके से इनोवेट करती है, एनालाइज करती है, वैसे एआई कभी नहीं कर सकता है, राइट. सो कैलकुलेटर्स ने जिस तरीके से एफिशिएंसी को बढ़ाया है, एआई ने एफिशिएंसी को बढ़ाया है, राइट. सो दैट इज व्हाट बेसिकली आई एम स्टार्टिंग नाउ. सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज ये है, अगर आपको स्क्रीन थोड़ी सी अगर नहीं दिख रही है तो मैं जूम कर देती हूँ. ओके. और मुझे आपका इसमें कॉपरेशन चाहिए. आपको जहां कहीं कुछ भी समझ में नहीं आए, आप प्लीज चैट बॉक्स में लिखिए, उसके बाद ही मैं नेक्स्ट स्लाइड पे जाऊंगी. ऑलराइट. सो नाउ एआई की अगर हम बात करते हैं तो ये एआई हम इतनी बार इस वर्ड को यूज कर चुके हैं. व्हाट इज दिस आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस एग्जैक्टली? व्हाट आर व्हाई आर वी सेइंग आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस? राइट. वन इज अ ह्यूमन इंटेलिजेंस. व्हाट इज देयर विद अस as individual? We are so unique, we have our own intelligence. What is this artificial intelligence? So artificial intelligence refers to a computer system that performs a task which normally requires a human intelligence to do, recognizing a pattern, generating a meaningful responses. कहने का सिंपली वर्ड ये है कि जैसे कोडिंग सिस्टम होता है, एक पैटर्न होते हैं, एक इंस्ट्रक्शंस होते हैं जो आप देते हैं, उससे फॉलो किया जाता है और उसके बाद एक आउटपुट होता है, वो है आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, राइट. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, मैंने आपके लिए एक एग्जाम्पल भी दिया है कि फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर आप एक एआई टेक्नोलॉजी में, जैसे आजकल आपको सबको पता है चैट जीपीटी है, या आप गूगल मैप्स को यूज कर रहे हैं. हम काफी सालों से गूगल मैप्स यूज कर रहे हैं. आप अपने कार में, फोन में गूगल मैप्स को यूज करते हैं, राइट. हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैज बीन यूजिंग गूगल मैप्स? एनी टाइम दैट यू गो टू एनी प्लेस, just give me a yes or a no, give me a nod, give me a thumbs up, give me a raise hand or something. मुझे बताइए कितने लोगों ने गूगल मैप्स यूज किया है ना? मेजोरिटी नहीं किया है. बराबर है कि नहीं है? कितने डेस्टिनेशंस ऐसे हैं जो हमें नहीं पता होते हैं, करेक्ट है. तो आपने सिर्फ एक इंस्ट्रक्शन डाला कि मुझे ये डेस्टिनेशन पे जाना है एंड इट विल गिव यू अ डायरेक्शन. सो द सेम थिंग है, आपने प्रॉम्प्ट दिया. अब देखिए क्या होता है ना, एज प्रोफेसर्स वी इन क्लास नो दैट एवरी स्टूडेंट इज नॉट अ सेम. ओके. सारे बच्चे बराबर नहीं होते हैं. हर स्टूडेंट की कैपेसिटी अलग है, उनकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग अलग है. कुछ लोगों को एक ही बार में समझ आ जाता है, कुछ लोगों को बार बार हमें समझाना पड़ता है, कुछ लोगों को कॉन्सेप्ट क्लियर हो जाते हैं और कुछ लोगों को बहुत ही हमें ब्रेक डाउन करके विथ वेरी बेसिक एग्जाम्पल समझाना पड़ता है. तो उसी तरीके से अगर एक से फॉर एग्जाम्पल मुझे याद है, आई विविडली रिमेम्बर जब मैं लॉ स्टूडेंट थी, केशव नंदा भारती का एक ऐसा केस है जो सभी ने पढ़ा है, आई थिंक एज लॉ प्रोफेसर्स, एकेडमिशियंस. आई थिंक यहाँ पे तो वेरिड एकेडमिशियंस भी होंगे. तो लॉ में एक ऐसा केस लॉ है जिसे हम केशव नंदा भारती बोलते हैं, राइट. सो केशव नंदा भारती केस एक ऐसा है जिसे सब लोग को वो एक बार में पढ़ने में समझ में नहीं आता. एट वन टाइम रीडिंग यू कैन नेवर अंडरस्टैंड दैट केस. तो अगर सपोजिंगली हमने वो प्रॉम्प्ट में डाला और हमने वो बोला कि एक्सप्लेन दिस केस इन अ वेरी सिंपलेस्ट फॉर्म, तो आप देखिए वर्जन एक आ सकता है एग्जाम ओरिएंटेड एक्सप्लेनेशन, कि अगर एग्जाम में वो आपको एग्जैक्टली लिखना है तो की फैक्ट्स क्या है, रेशियो डेसिडेंडी क्या है. रेशियो डेसिडेंडी ये होता है कि किस बेसिस पे जज ने वो केस डिसाइड किया, क्या रेशियो पे डिसाइड हुआ है, या उसके अलावा ऑबिटर डिक्टा क्या है, बेसिकली उनके क्या रीजंस हैं जिसकी वजह से. सो एग्जैक्टली व्हाट इज रिक्वायर्ड फॉर एग्जाम्स, क्योंकि हम उसमें सिर्फ रेलिवेंट पॉइंट्स लिखते हैं. या से कॉन्सेप्ट है अगर कि कोर्ट की रीजनिंग क्या थी, व्हाई इज दैट जजमेंट पास्ड, व्हाट इज द रीजन फॉर दैट जजमेंट. एंड देन कंपेटिटिव एग्जाम्स है, अगर हम किसी सीटी एग्जाम के लिए, कॉमन एंट्रेंस एग्जाम के लिए प्रिपेयर कर रहे हैं, तो फिर वो किस तरीके से हमें प्रिपेयर करके लिखना है. सो एआई प्रॉम्प्ट विल नॉट ओनली गिव यू वन आंसर but can give you multiple answers for multiple varied exams also. So इसका आउटकम ये होगा कि आप डालोगे एक इनपुट पर आउटपुट आपको 3 से 4 मिल सकते हैं. सो दैट इज व्हाट आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस है. इज दिस क्लियर? शुड आई गो अहेड? ओके.
Madam, Geetika ma'am, sorry to
यस.
interrupt. can you use more of English, because many of the
Yes.
participants don't understand Hindi.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. No problem, ma'am. I'll use English. No
Yeah,
problem at
yeah.
all. Yes, yes.
See, as law teachers, I guess everybody can understand English, but even if one can't understand Hindi, that will be a
No
loss for them.
problem.
Yeah.
No
Thank you,
problem, ma'am.
madam.
I'll explain this. Yes, ma'am. I'll explain this. So
Thank you
once
so
again,
much.
yes, ma'am. So once again, see, artificial intelligence is basically nothing but you are basically giving an input in a computer system. You remember we used to in school study Java and C++. It was also a coding system. It was also a software. And very simply, in Google Maps, you enter one of the names of the places. It captures that name, it will hunt it down in its software where that place is and give you the exact timing. In what timing you will reach, say if it is 2 hours away, 1 hour away, 30 minutes away, and give you exact direction. In fact, it is so advanced, it will tell you where exactly there is a traffic jam, right? So that is what artificial intelligence is. And more importantly, now it has an audio voice also. It will narrate you, okay, take left, take right. This is artificial intelligence, what we are talking about. Now, for example, like I told you, like supposingly you have to break down a simple judgment to a student, or you have to use and explain an example to a student. You can prepare four basic ways of explaining that example to a student. One can be exam based, one can be concept based, third can be competitive exam based also. Okay, so with one prompt you give to a chat GPT, probably an outcome can be in three different versions: exam based, concept based, advanced competitive exam based. So, this is basically what an AI technology does. If this is clear, should I go to the next step or the next slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, see, why I have kept this is because most of us come from a legal background. And see, when it comes to uses of AI technology in legal practices, so most importantly in legal researches, okay? So when we talk about in a legal research, so say for example, we have to hunt for cases. Now, I do remember while I was interning as a law student, okay, while I was a law student, my senior used to send me to a library, used to just give me a citation on a piece of paper, which of course I never used to understand. And I had to hunt that book, hunt that page number, hunt that particular volume, and then find that citation. Okay, how many of you have followed this old fashioned? If you are from a law background, you have to go to the library, see the volume number, see the page number, just raise your hand so I'll know. Like, let's be interactive now, so we'll also know okay, how can we connect as millennials, as the Gen Z call us now, millennials hame bol rahe hain, right? Yes, so most of us have done that. So in legal research, we used to go and sit in a library and find that book. Now with AI, you just have to feed that citation and you have to just feed in the details. Okay, this is the volume number, this is the Maharashtra Law Journal, this is the page number, and see the beauty, within seconds you will find the case. Okay, this is the advancement of AI technology in legal research. Correct? So this is what we are talking about in legal profession. Then contract review. Now, I do remember when I started the practice, there were no templates. There was never a senior who came and told me, okay, this is a format you follow. No, there was nothing such like this that was given to us. So even if, so when we draft a contract, any standard contract has few basic important headings or clauses which are very important. Like, say, for example, there'll be definitions, there'll be boilerplate clauses, termination clauses, dissolution clauses. Okay, so these are important clauses, indemnity clauses. Now, these are the things which a fresher doesn't know. They don't even know how to start drafting a contract. Okay, so for example, as professors, if we have to teach them how to draft a basic contract between two people, a party and a B party, we can just give instructions to the AI. AI prompt can be generated, and that basically just a skeletal outline, a basic outline of a contract can be generated by the AI. Okay, just a basic outline. So that is the advantage of basically an AI. Like, it can give you an outline of the contract, like basic side clauses also, जो पहले नहीं पता होता था. Okay, there were no templates, there was no Google to see the template also, because it was not available online also. Then compliances review. Now there are certain compliances which the government generates for companies to follow, and to identify them, timely do it. Or say for example, there is a manufacturing company which has to pay the GST on time. Okay, there are alerts that come, emails that come now. Or say for example, we pay taxes, right? All of us pay taxes now that we are into earning. Now, don't we get messages from don't we get emails, timely pay your taxes? How many of you get mails saying that you have to pay your advance tax? Or that, okay, now if March, April is coming, we have to pay taxes. Don't we get mails, alerts, and messages? Please pay your taxes on time, isn't it? This is what is compliances that we are talking about. Okay, this is the advancement of technology. Then case law summarization also. Earlier, it used to take us so much time to read lengthy judgments. 30 pages, 40 pages, final judgments used to be so bulky. We used to sit in the library, then used to read it multiple times, and then used to make, okay, these are the facts of the case, then this is what the party A is saying, this is the contention of the plaintiff, this is the contention and submission of the defendants, then this is what the court has observed, or the reasoning of the court, this is the ratio decidendi, this is the directive order, this is the final order. So the summarization and analysis, basically what I'm trying to tell you is, at least 3-4 times we used to read it, then we used to analyze the case law, then we used to understand it, and it used to take us days to even understand important cases. Correct? And now with AI technology, a teacher can probably convert a bulky judgment. Just PDF can be uploaded, and within minutes or within seconds, it can be summarized with basic headings. It can give you facts, it can give you details of the cases and the party submissions, it can give you obiter dicta, it can give you ratio decidendi, it can give you the final order. So that is a case law summarization which can make you understand and analyze the case faster. Translation. Now let me tell you, this was very important thing for me while I was working for government of Andhra Pradesh. This was hardly some few months ago. I was deputed with government of Andhra Pradesh Department of Finance until May 2025 last year, and Telugu is not my native language. Now there were so many documents working in the department which I could not understand. Okay, I was not familiar with Telugu, so there were contracts which I could not understand in Telugu language. I used to just scan these documents, upload on the AI chatbot, and then used to translate and see what are the important clauses of the contract. So this is the beauty of AI. Okay, so I'm telling you my personal experiences also. Now, where I am currently based, Marathi is a prevalent language in the state. I come from Maharashtra, but again, it is not my mother tongue. Okay, so translation is also something, and most importantly, wherever in the world we travel, we may not know the country's language, but we can use Google AI, we can use translation AI, and we can translate in whatever language we speak to that beauty of AI you see, okay, to that particular language, even if we have to use directions, even if we have to order food, or we want to translate something. That is the advantage of AI that we have now. Okay. And then comes timeline generation also. So timeline generation is where chronological dates and events. So when we started practice, the first instructions we got, or I think all of you will agree, is you have to make the list of dates and events in a matter. Okay, as juniors, we always have instructions, read the file, make the list of dates and events, what, on which date, what event happened, what is this document talking about, what is this exhibit talking about. So we had to sit down, read it. It used to take us days to read the file, make a proper list of dates and events. मतलब It used to take me at least 2 3 drafts to make a clear cut list of dates and events. And that is why timeline generation used to be a task, like 4 5 days effort after reading a file to make that list of dates and events. Now with the help of AI, I can probably just scan the document, upload it, and it will generate the entire timeline. On so and so date, so and so event happened. On so and so date, so and so event happened. And that is the beauty of the AI also. So this is how it helps us in legal practice also when it comes to AI technology. If this is clear, should I go to the next slide? Any doubts, any questions anybody has, please put it in the chat box. Anything you have not understood? Now, one of the subsections of AI is the generative AI. Okay. Now, generative AI refers to a system where basically a new content, such as the text, the summaries, or the draft, is created. See, one is the artificial intelligence. This is a larger picture. Then comes a smaller picture, which is a generative AI, where this is generated, where it is developed. For example, I'll give you ChatGPT is basically a generative AI. Why generative AI? Because it generates whatever you feed it. Okay, for example, a teacher asks an AI compare two Supreme Court judgments on Article 21 and explain how interpretation has evolved. Okay, sorry, evolved. Okay, so suppose if there are two cases, I have done that for you and I have actually created a slide as well for the same. Okay, so two Supreme Court cases on Article 21. Okay, so AI summarizes both the cases. Now there can be two cases. One can be Maneka Gandhi and the second can be the Puttaswamy case. Okay, right to privacy that we have. So AI will summarize both these cases, identify the differences, the legal reasoning, highlight the changing scope of Article 21, present a comparison in a simple table to you. Now, why this is important? Because Maneka Gandhi was a prior judgment. Puttaswamy is a recent judgment based on the same article. So there can be a comparison which can be done. The differences can be explained to the student. In fact, the relevancy of both can be shown with respect to Article 21. And I'll show you how. Just a second. Yes. Now see, with generative AI versus legal specific AI, what happens is basically in a generative AI, only a general data is available, or something which you can say that a wider data is available. Why? Because in the entire world, whatever data is available in Wikipedia, in blogs, in books, or anywhere, whatever data is being written, is being paid emphasis, that is what a generative AI uses. Like anywhere in the world, whatever content is available with respect to what you are feeding, the chatbot will be given to you. Whereas when it comes to a legal specific AI platform, okay, it will only take whatever is relevant in respect of a legal specific AI platform. For example, I'll give you the difference. When you're using a GPT will take the data from all over the world, wherever, if it is an international conference paper, whether it's a national conference paper. But it's a legal specific AI platform like Manu AI. Like Manu Patra has launched its own Manu AI basically. So it will only take the data which is available on the national databases, on the legal specific databases, and not the other databases which is available. Okay, so this is one primary difference between a generative AI and a legal specific AI, because the data sources are two different. Basically, in generative, it's a wider data source. In legal specific, it's a small data source. Okay, the core function is basically, you can say that in general data and pattern to create a new content. So in generative AI, it will create a new content. But in a legal specific, it uses only a grounded legal primary source data. कहने का मतलब ये है कि वो सिर्फ legal data को ही use करता है. If it is, you are asking a case summary, it will give you a case summary. In ChatGPT, it will give you multiple other magnitudes, not only case summary, but other things as well, and give you suggestions as well. Okay, now with Chat GPT, like AI is in generative AI, there can be a risk of hallucinations also, inventing fake facts, inventing fake cases also. So, hallucination is a term where probably the case does not exist, but it is giving you a case. Whereas in legal specific AI, it minimizes these hallucinations. It doesn't give you data which does not exist. Whereas in a generative AI, this is a high risk possibility that it will give you a data which possibly does not exist. And you must have read in the news that probably advocates are using chat gpt developed cases also in their cases, or in the filing also of the courts. They are using cases which do not exist at all. There are no citations like this existing. In fact, I have seen students while I am teaching, when I went, I remember I had gone to this one particular event. They had invited me as a judge also, and I had seen at least five students cut, copy, pasting the same thing and the same project and presenting it to us with the same line of cases. Okay, so hallucination is one such thing that happens with a generative AI, because the hallucination exists. Whereas when it comes to a legal generative AI, that will be minimized. Okay, when it comes to citation reliability, it is more in the legal specific AI and less in a generative AI. Privacy standards in chat gpt, what people don't know, that confidentiality does not exist because it will take over all your data, and it is a possibility it will be publicly available. Okay, so do not disclose any confidential data of the clients or any other confidential questions in a chat gpt like generative AI, or any other, like bard is also there, or any other perplexity. These are, I'll be telling you these tools also, so need not worry. So privacy standards are not maintained in a generative AI, whereas in legal specific AI, these privacy standards are maintained, and this adhere to strict legal confinement also. Okay, now, example tools can be ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and then in legal specific, you have Manu AI, which is one of the Manu AI tools launched by Manu Patra. So, ChatGPT is one of the most common tools, which are, I think, everyday usage we have, right? So, whatever you are typing in ChatGPT and you are asking which are the best restaurants, which is this place, which is the best landmark, everything is getting feeded into ChatGPT system, and you do not know when this data will be misused. The same is with Wikipedia, right? This data people thought is readily available. Then what happened? This entire data was leaked way years ago. There were WikiLeaks case that happened, isn't it? So that is why generative AI usually does not have any confidential law policy, unlike in legal specific AI platforms. Now, is the difference clear of generative AI and legal specific AI? Any doubts anybody has? Anything that you have not understood? See, I don't want you to mug up. I don't want you to get confused. I'm here to clear your doubts. So please don't hesitate to ask me. Please question जरूर पूछिएगा अगर आपको कहीं भी doubts हैं.
Ma'am, we have a Q&A session at the end of the
Okay, okay,
today's session. Yes, ma'am.
okay,
We will take
okay.
some questions from the chat box. Yes.
Okay, okay, no problem. Okay. Now, why
Okay.
is AI relevant in legal education, or why overall AI? See, we have gathered here today to understand basically why, as professors, academicians, faculties, why is it that we need to understand that AI has become relevant into education in the first place? Okay, we are not here to restrict the students from using AI. Okay, like sir said when he exited, that we have to understand that AI is not replacing the faculties. No, AI is not replacing us as humans. No, we have to understand that we have to work in nexus. हमें ना ऐसे side by side काम करना है. You know, with AI, only then can we advance as faculties. Only then can we work in nexus with AI as faculties, right? So why is AI become relevant when it comes to a legal education, or it comes to an education as per se in the larger picture also? Because I'll tell you, like I remember Kalpesh sir, when he started, just when he started at the beginning, before he introduced me, I think he said one thing, that as professors, we have very limited time to complete the syllabus. How many of you agree to that? I'm not asking anything. It's a very simple question I'm asking. Just raise your hands or just agree, or if you disagree, that we get only 2 3 months. Okay, many students say this, that ma'am, practicals are not taught to us because only theory takes 2 3 months. How many of you agree to this? Just give me a yes, or give me a thumbs up, or just give me a raise a hand or something like this, right? Because you are given only 2 3 months to complete the course, the syllabus, and on the top of that you have to take internal exams, you have to take those weekly exams also. I do remember, I was in ILS that time, Indian Law Society. I'm an ILS student, and I am a student also. So we used to have weekly tutorials. My professors used to take weekly, every week they used to complete one part of the syllabus and they used to take our exams. Unit test used to happen. So unit test burden is there. You have to check that also. Then there are competitions also you have to prepare. Then you have annual exams also. So because teachers are under so much lot of pressure to complete the syllabus itself, it becomes so difficult otherwise, right, to do anything else apart from that. So AI, why has become so important is because we handle so large volumes of PDF documents, judgments, statutes, commentaries. And I remember, now this is something very odd, that there was a time when my professors along with me used to sit in the same library and used to make notes. I still have, even after 15 years and 14 years in practice, I still have my student notes of CPC, CRPC, IPCs. Now the law has changed, but I still have my handwritten notes, and I used to still write down everything that my professor used to teach, used to come in the class and teach. I remember Nitish Sagre sir was one of my professors in ILS, and used to come and used to say something, I used to write down everything. So, my point over here is to say that teachers used to make efforts to go and sit in the library and make notes for professors. And at that point of time, as students, we never understood. Now that I am into a teaching profession, now that I am teaching as an academician, and students come and say, "Ma'am, मैंने तो Chat GPT से I have done my what we say assignment through Chat GPT." That is a point where I realize that the students don't understand that how much effort a teacher takes to sit down and prepare for a one particular lecture. We go through n number of PDFs, n number of volumes of documents, n number of commentaries and judgments. Now, how AI can help us? AI can save our time. We can put up the scanned documents, the judgments, the statutes into these AI chatbots, and they can analyze those documents from for us, and we can make our notes from there instead of just going sitting in the library for hours. See, otherwise, if we like doing it, we should definitely go. Of course, we should. We are millennials, we'll still do that. But despite of that, if you want to save time, because like I said, we have only 3 months to complete the syllabus, we can probably do this. So it saves our time and effort in a way, and then we can probably minimize the risk of not completing the syllabus on time. So that is one thing. What is the role of AI? It organizes, it compares. Also, one thing happened, repetition. Repetition is also one thing. We probably will find usually the same, if there's something written in one PDF, it can be a similar thing written in another PDF also. So it helps us in organizing, comparing, simplifying these complex legal material as well. So this is how the AI helps us. And when it comes to a teaching scenario, so teacher preparing a lecture in the evolution of say Article 21, say right to life. Now there are n number of cases when it comes to Article 21. N number of cases. Puttaswamy case is there, Menaka Gandhi's case is there. So, it can list out say 4 5 cases. It can give you the gist of Article 21, why it is relevant. All these details can be provided to you by AI when you give a prompt to it. I'll tell you how that prompt is also given in just a few minutes as we proceed also. So this can be basically assisted by AI to you and can help you prepare you for lectures also in legal education. Okay, now say there is a scenario of evolution of Article 21. The teacher's prompt is comparing Menaka Gandhi's case with Puttaswamy, which we were anyways discussing, right? Now, the AI output will be, it will give you the procedure under Article 21, which should be just, fair, and reasonable, also recognizing the right to privacy under Puttaswamy's case. Okay, that will be the output of the AI. Now, the learning outcome is that the students will understand the judicial evolution clearly and comparatively. Had we gone to the library, sat down and understood the case, probably this differentiation would have taken us days to list out. The relevancy would have taken us days to do the same. This comparative table would have taken us even days to work on, and then probably this output would have come, which probably would have been done by AI in the matter of few seconds. So that is the beauty of AI, why it is relevant in legal education, that we can show this relevancy in the matter of few minutes. It can reduce the risk of probably when it comes to repetition of the documents also. Okay. Now the message to what I can give is that AI acts, sorry, my bad, AI acts as a teaching assistant, not as a replacement. Now, one of the first things that I want to say, that when it comes to lecture notes and summaries, how AI helps us when it comes to lecture notes and summaries, like I said, it is only like 2-3 months that we have to cover the syllabus, to complete the syllabus on time also. And that time is also less for us. So suppose a law professor uploads multiple PDFs, say BNS chapters are there, right? Bharatiya Nyaya Sahita. So BNS chapters are there, class handouts are there, Supreme Court judgments are there. So see, in this one particular act, there are barracks, there are statutes, there are commentaries, there are judgments. At least these are four things we need to cover when we are teaching BNS. Okay, Bharatiya Nyaya Sahita. So, or the committee reports are also there. So suppose it's a particular chapter of arrest and safeguards. So you give an instruction to AI, compile all these documents in a single resource, eliminate any repetition or an overlap, and convert the material into a concise exam oriented notes. Now, once you have given this prompt to AI, that compile all this PDF, scan PDF into one exam oriented note, the output that will come probably is flowchart explaining the arrest procedure, probably a tabular format that can give you the safeguard of the Supreme Court case laws that the accused can use, and a structured format for a 5 mark or a 10 mark answers on questions also. So where multiple documents are there, PDFs are there, like I said, Bare Act is there, Supreme Court judgments are there, and compiling all this information for one particular lecture will take you days. AI has done that for you, compiled it, organized it, and kept it ready for you for that one lecture. So outcome is a faster revision, improved conceptual clarity, and focused exam preparation also. So it, in a way, it helps your student to understand how I can prepare for a 5 mark answer and a 10 mark answer also. Okay, if this is a note that ma'am is giving, I can use it for a 5 mark, I can use it for a 10 mark answer as well. Okay, or which case laws to use also. That is basically, that can help you when it comes to a lecture note or a summary as well. See, lecture notes, in fact, are so bulky. Of course, like I said, we have to go and sit in the library and go through multiple books, multiple barracks, multiple commentaries, multiple statutes, multiple judgments, which we can just scan and feed to the AI, and we can see how it basically summarizes, basically organizes and give us the entire output. Okay, so that is the advantage when it comes to use of AI in lecture notes. Now, when it comes to simplifying the legal language of the judgment also, now everybody knows that at the face of it, when you read any judgment, आपको पहली बार में नहीं समझ आता. At the first time that you read a judgment, you can never understand it. It takes time. It takes years of expertise to understand a judgment, to know, okay, these are the facts, these are the submission of the parties, this is the obit dicta, this is the ratio decidendi, this is the operative order. So these are the 4-5 aspects where it takes time and years of experience to understand, especially for a beginner also. So when it comes to a prompt given to the AI, like say Keshav Nanda Bharti, I told you, is one of the most difficult cases for any student to understand during their career. So even as a teacher to teach the class in different ways, we can probably give a prompt to AI saying that give us a ratio decidency of Keshav Nanda Bharti. What is the ratio decidency on the ratio of which this case was decided? Okay. So it will basically give you these basic pointers. What is the rule of law? What is the supremacy of constitution? What is separation of powers? What is judicial review? What are fundamental rights? Why this judgment is important? Because it protects the constitution from misuse of unlimited amendment power by the parliament. So these are the things that AI can give you a prompt output very quickly, which would have taken us days to do so. I'm not saying we can't do it, but it would have taken us days to do so, right? To basically analyze this case, break down this case. I remember while I was studying constitution in my master's, it took us 2 months to complete Keshav Nanda Bharti's case only. 2 months to complete Keshav Nanda Bharti case by my professor. Okay, so why this has become important? Because it saves your time in breaking a simple legal language or a judgment in the matter of seconds. It can break complex, law has lot of Latin terms. Law have foreign languages that cannot be understood so fast. So AI prompts can probably help you in breaking this down and explaining to the students, be it judgments, Latin terminology, complex legal terminologies, and it can just bifurcate for you, organize for you, and can help you explain these judgments no matter how bulky they are, how many pages they are, how much complex they are. It can be explained with the help of use of AI also. Okay. Going forward, when it comes to presentation and briefs and designing the visual aids and summaries of using AI. Now, as kids, while we are growing up also, just a plain book is never interesting for anybody who's reading a book. Yes, of course, when we are mature, we read a book, we understand the meanings, we understand the reason behind everything that is written. But kids these days, or even as professors these days, we want something that catches the attention of students. So when we are giving presentation to students, when we are explaining a concept with a presentation or a PPT, right, it becomes more catchy if there are tables, if there are diagrams, or if there are flow charts and all. It's easier for them to understand, and this can be done with the help of AI also. So automated lining, visual aid designing, say case briefing, it can give you facts, legal issues, ratio decidency, and final decision also. So AI helps you, like for example, if I had to use this PPT I had to make for your session, I basically simply used an AI chatbot and I generated this very simple PPT. I have not done anything. I have not drawn any diagrams. I've not made anything designer. I've just made it very simple black and white PPT presentation because I wanted to keep it simple. But I wanted to give you a good content to read later on, right? Good pointers, good bullet points to give you. So basically, this is where AI helped me in generating the titles or in organizing in systematically what should go where, okay, in systematic format. So what AI helps us is basically nothing but with the use of AI tools and proper outline, a visual aid design, a case brief, it helps us in generating these PPTs also, presentations also. For example, if you are putting up a case or any judgment, it will give you the facts, the legal issues, the ratio decidendi, and the final decision, pointers, headlines, subheadings, details, along with all of that. So example is that a law teacher uses AI tool to create a PowerPoint outline on a basic structure of doctrine. Now, basic structure of doctrine, the cases is Keshav Nanda Bharti as a popular case. This is a headline that will come. Facts, legal issues, ratio decidendi, final decision. So you see, AI will generate these, highlighting all these subheadings, will give you in that 3-4 paragraphs, and that is how the AI will give you a presentation, which unlike would have just normally come as a simple paragraph. That is what AI gives you. Okay. Now, one of the most important in the entire session, आपको जो सबसे important slide लगेगा, this is the AI tools that can be used for your legal teaching? If any doubts, any question, please put them in the chat box. Now, the tools that you can use in legal education. Now, before that, so far, what I have covered is what is an AI, what is a generative AI, the difference between generative AI and a legal specific AI, how AI helps you when it comes to legal teaching, PowerPoint presentation, or when it comes to judgment understanding. This is what I have explained so far. Now, what I am telling you are the tools which are essential for legal teaching and assessment and legal education also. So, one of the first tools that we have and available is the ManuWorks AI. Now, I am a part of Manupatra team, and this was something that we had flagged and we were working upon, that we want to generate a specific tool for law professionals, young professionals. They face a lot of difficulty when they come to practice, or they are students and they don't get to understand a lot of things in the legal world. So manuworks.ai is one such tool which will help the students, the professionals, the academicians, the faculties, apparently, in not only understanding when it comes to preparation of the notes and summarizations and the case summarizations and timeline generations. When it comes to PDF, you can upload the PDF and you can get it translated also. You can scan and you can put the documents and edit that document also. Judgment comparison also. Legal, most important is the legal drafting also. You just have to give instruction, it will give you a legal draft online also. Timeline generation also. So all these are available on your ManuWorks AI. So ManuWorks AI is basically a one-stop destination where it comes to, you'll get everything over here, from case summarization, timeline generation, OCR, PDF, judgment comparison, to legal drafting as well. And it helps you with legal practice and teaching. Then you have Spellbook. Spellbook basically is helpful more in contract drafting, where it can suggest you clauses, it can flag the missing provisions also. If any important clause is missing, or if any important details are missing from the contract, it can be added as a Microsoft Word add-in also. So Spellbook is one such tool. You have Claude AI. Okay, this is also a paid version. It helps you in legal research and teaching as well. So it's a general purpose AI suitable in processing the documents, simplifying complex legal, non-drafting, non-technical legal content as well. Sometimes we are reading a book, or we are reading a very complex journal, that can be simplified by using a Claude AI. You can just scan it, upload it, and you can see how it beautifully breaks down when it comes to any, or if any research paper you are reading and you just want to scan it, and you can, you want to later on read it in a very simple language, you can use a Claude AI also. You have Quillbot, which can be free and paid. Free can be the trial version. Paid is later on that you can subscribe, which helps in a classroom learning also. So it helps students in paraphrasing, rewriting, and clarity of assignments, while maintaining the, the document whichever is uploaded, or the details which are provided. It will maintain the meaning of that document as well. So Quillbot again has a free version, trial version, but you'll have to still buy the subscription. There is Mentimeter and Perplexity. Perplexity is basically helpful when it comes to research. As a PhD student, I have, once or twice used it, not very much. Classroom interaction, so generates discussion questions. So supposingly, if you have to conduct a discussion session in the class, or you have to put up questions with respect to general discussion in the class, it helps us in legal research. Promotes an interactive class participation also. So in Perplexity, you can put up questions. It will give you discussion based questions in legal research, and you can use these, and you can generate more classroom interaction with the students as well. Then there is Notion, which is AI module as well, which helps in teaching organization also. It organizes teaching material. So a lot of data content you can put over here. and a lot of PDF materials can be put over here. It helps in organizing these PDF material. It also stores this. It gives you the history also of the same. It creates summaries, lecture notes, structured planning of, what data can be used in which of your classes and how you can. So suppose if you have 3 months to explain BNS to a class, so exactly which class can be taken when with respect to the lecture notes you are submitting, it will help you in organizing this as well. So that is Notion. And one of the last tools is Turtin. I believe a lot of academicians are familiar with, because it helps in detecting the plagiarism. If any of the document we try to cut, copy, paste, and use it as our own, it helps in detecting the plagiarism, also analyzing writing quality. Also, if we are presenting any papers anywhere in any of the conferences, it helps in detecting whatever data that we have used from somewhere. If it is plagiarized, we have to remove that data. So Turtle is also one such tool that helps in when it comes to paper presentations as well. So do not worry, I'll be sharing this PPT. So you will have all these tools that later on will help you when you are conducting classes. I would recommend that ManuWorks is the most helpful when it comes to timeline generation, legal drafting, judgment comparison. If you are into paper conferences and paper presentation, Turton is the best. If you are into, class discussion concept, then Mentimeter is the best. And Notion is best when you have to organize your syllabus. You have to prepare the class papers, like you have to prepare your question papers and all of that. Then Notion is best, at point number 6. That is also good. Now, one of the important things is writing effective prompts for better AI responses. Now, see, so far, like I said, I have explained you how AI can help you when it comes to taking lectures, or basically when it comes to understanding long judgments, how you can explain to students. Now, what are the tools you can use also? But what is important to understand is how to give effective prompts. आप जैसा सवाल पूछेंगे वैसा ही आपको आंसर मिलेगा. So the way that you give an input is the output that will come. So give it clear instructions. What is important is giving clear instructions. Tell AI exactly what you want. Okay, so say for example, a weak prompt is that check the termination clause. So if you just write check the termination clause is a weak response or a weak prompt, because you have to give a specific prompt that review the termination clause. If you see, just give me a minute. Sorry, my bad. Yeah. Review the termination clause for clarity, identify ambiguities, and propose amendments to improve the enforceability. This is the correct prompt. Why? Because termination clause is a very vague, very wide prompt. Okay. So review the termination clause for clarity. Then check any ambiguities are there and propose if any amendments are there. Also, break the task into steps. So, give work step by step. Fix the problem in the clause is not a correct prompt. First, review the clause. Identify unclear terms and suggest the improvement. So, give it a particular instruction that you not only want to review it, but also identify the terminology and suggest improvements. Be precise. Okay. So, if you are precise, it will give you a better answer. Draft a confidentiality clause. No. Draft a confidentiality clause for which contract? Say SaaS contract, covering the trade secret enforceable for 5 years. So if this is a confidentiality clause, for how many years? For which contract? Which type of contract? That is also very important. Okay, add a context, like explain the background. Explain basically what you are wanting. So the context or the story becomes very, very important. So supposingly, like as academicians, if I have to tell you the prompts that I have to tell you, even if this is not as you are feeling relevant prompt also, so I'll tell you. Suppose if you have to give clear instructions, prepare notes on the chapter of arrest. So it is only a very simple prompt. Arrest and the section, and then you add also give me 5 relevant case laws. So it will not only give you the section, but will give you the case laws also. Okay. So this is how the better prompt is generated. Suppose it has to give you a context or a repeat say key instructions are also there. So if you have to basically say repeat in the sense, or if you have to use examples in that sense, so then give a prompt that you know, prepare notes for arrest, add examples, add case laws. So this way it will give you examples, case laws, sections, as well as explanation on arrest. So exactly the prompt is given in the manner where the instructions are that give me examples, give me explanation, give me sections, and give me case laws. So the output will be in the same manner. But if you only write, okay, explain arrest to me, so it will only give you explanation, not the case laws, not the examples, not the sections also. So that is a bad prompt. Okay. So effective prompts are helpful in a way that you give an input with a detailed instruction. You have to give the context. You have to be precise. You have to follow the step by step. You have to give instructions and clear instructions. Okay. And don't overload with lot of information. That is also important to remember, that do not overload AI. AI is not our maid. Okay, AI is just a generative model there to assist us at the end of the day. So it is very important that human in the loop is followed. Even after the document is generated, we have to analyze it and read it. Okay, that is what is important to understand. Now, one of the few things to understand is that yes, AI has become important into our teaching industry. Yes, AI is being used by students a lot in doing the assignments and will always be used by students in the coming future also. But as professors, as academicians, we owe responsibility in teaching ethics to law students when in terms of using AI. Okay, so start with a core ethical question that just because AI can do something, should a lawyer use it that way? So explain that AI is a tool and not a substitute for professional judgment, responsibility, or integrity, so which remain a non-negotiable in the legal profession. So for example, if a chat GPT drafts a legal opinion, is it responsible if anything goes wrong? Who will be responsible, the chat GPT or the lawyer? Right? So what we have to make them understand is that if anything goes wrong, chat GPT cannot be sent to prison. At the end of the day, if anything goes wrong, we will be responsible for the clients, not chat GPT. Right? Even if it generates a wrong question or a wrong contention or a wrong submission, chat GPT cannot be held. We cannot tell the judge, oh my lord, the chat GPT generated a wrong case law, that is why I'm submitting to you, please blame the chat GPT. We cannot do that. We shall be, at the end of the day, humans will be responsible for the same. So we will be blamed. We will be the one that the judge will hold us responsible for and pay the penalty. ChatGPT will not be paying the penalty. That is what we have to make the student understand, not to heavily rely upon AI and ChatGPTs or any other AI tools. As law professors, this is the responsibility we carry. So we have to ensure that there is academic integrity and plagiarism also. So AI assistants must not replace the original thinking, analysis, and authorship also. There has to be a differentiation between permissible assistance and the misconduct also. So permissible is what, see, we have to understand we cannot stop our students. Agreed, we cannot stop our students, but we have to ensure that they understand the difference what is allowed and what is not allowed, right? Like for example, summarizing a judgment using an AI tool is allowed. Using an AI tool to explain the legal term is allowed. Structuring an answer outline is allowed. But when a teacher is asking you to submit an assignment and you are using an AI chat GPT, that is not allowed. We are giving you assignment to test your ability to understand that concept, how much you have understood, and you're using chat GPT's ability to submit the assignment. That is not allowed, right? So this is what difference we have to make them understand. Now, one of the last things that I would like to finally cover before I open the floor for question answer round is that One of the things in AI is that as much as we agree with the fact that it has become the part of our lives, it has become part of the student's life, and we cannot deny the fact that every day, somewhere or the other, in something or the other, we are using AI. Be it Siri, be it Google Gemini, be it ChatGPT, or be it any other AI tool that we are using, or the students are using, to submit their assignments, students are using to give their exams. There are challenges we are facing as academicians, as professors. I will not deny the fact that, yes, I am a millennial. I am an old person at a heart. I still go to the library, sit down, and make my notes. I still go to the library and still would, take out a book and still get it issued if I have to read and make my notes. Unlike when I ask a student and they say that, ma'am, I don't know when I visited a library last. And that is a concern and a matter of worry if they are not going to a library, sitting down there and reading. That habit is, not any longer existing within the students. I mean, I do remember last I taught in a college called DY Patil, and I asked the student, when is the last time you visited a library? In 5 years, he was a final year student, and I asked him, and he told me not even once in a final in the sorry in the 5 year of his law school education he has visited the library. उसने library visit ही नहीं किया था, and that was very sad to see. So I do appreciate the AI, but where somewhere I feel is that it should not make our kids handicapped. It should not make them heavily rely on AI. So AI is just for our benefit. AI is there to assist us. AI is there not to handicap us. Okay, it should help us in the way of making us improve in technology, in going advanced, yes, but not us to heavily rely on it. We should not just heavily rely on it. We should remember that we are on the top of the human chains. We are the one who has invented AI in the first place. Okay, so one of the challenges we are facing is a cognitive atrophy, which is that the student may rely too much on AI, weakening the independent thinking. So there is a possibility that, the creativity of the brain may no longer be there. The imagination may no longer be there. So we have to understand that problem solving imagination still should exist among the students. So how can we solve it as teachers, as academicians? We should focus on the process, and that we can do by encouraging vivas, debates in the class, encouraging handwritten reflections. Still handwritten notes, assignments are much better than printouts. I know it sounds a little old and millennial, but probably it will help them to sit down and write and not use technology only all the way. Okay, academic integrity probably is also one such challenge, because where the use of AI without disclosure hides a true student's ability also. So there should be a declaration that require a statement of AI use. I remember when Sir was finishing his lecture and making an exit, there should be a declaration that I have used AI, and there should be no कोई शर्म नहीं आनी चाहिए कहने में कि yes, I have used AI for this so and so purpose. It is absolutely fine to admit I have used AI, but then you should say I have used AI for so and so purposes. Okay, so that declaration also students should submit, and we as professors should encourage that if you have used AI for your assignment, kindly declare the same rather than declaring it as your own assignment. So that is one academic integrity that we should follow. Data privacy, students sometimes go and see sensitive data, or if they are exposed to such public AI tools also, it is not good for them. So we have to teach them safe data practices also. Hallucinations are one such challenges we are facing. Like I said, lot of false information is available to them, lot of fake cases is available to them, lot of fake laws are available to them, incorrect citations are available to them. So we have to ensure that they mandatorily have a fact check, or they go back and see, like Manupatra has is a database, so they go and see at Manupatra if these citations are correct, if these facts are correct or not. Double checking these citations are important, and just not randomly relying and heavily relying on these chat GPT generated documents. So hallucination can be avoided by checking the facts on going to the original relevant databases. And then comes the moral agency. That students at the end of the day would say that, it is an AI mistake. So instead of putting that blame, they should be able to take that responsibility, that I am at the end of it being held responsible for the use of AI. So moral responsibility is equally important. So that is one thing that as professors we should teach, or academicians we should teach our students. And last things before I open the floor is that the takeaway I think for the law teachers is that AI saves time, not the judgment. At the end of the day, we as professors are teaching. We as professors are only trying to give the best education to the students. Always verify the primary sources. Teaching ethics alongside technology is very, very important. Ethical use of AI is very, very important. We are not saying that we are banning AI. We are not saying to students don't use AI. We are only saying that use it ethically, use it morally rather. So AI is not replacing the law teachers, but law teachers have to understand, or academicians have to understand, we are working in nexus with AI, so that law teaching becomes far more better, and the future of legal education improves much better. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I hope that little bit whatever I could teach you in this session about AI and generative AI, especially AI tools, especially about how to ethically use it and how to generate the prompts has helped you. And any question if anybody has, I'll just take it right away.
Thank you so much, ma'am. The floor is open for question answer session. Participants are requested to type their questions in the chat box. We will take it one by one.
I think SK has mentioned a question. Ma'am, as you mentioned that AI is used for translation, while uploading government documents for this purpose, not potentially result in breach of privacy or confidentiality. As long as it's a publicly available document, it will not be a breach of privacy. Of course, confidential documents will never be uploaded or be not available for public access. So I don't think that's a privacy data issue because it's a public available document.
Okay. Ma'am, another question we have that it is what is the level of ethical standards?
Level, just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
See, level of ethical standards is like I said, see, there is no level of moral or ethical standards. No, we have to just maintain that the onus and responsibility comes on, the human only at the end of the day when we are using, be it, see, when we were using calculators also. What was the, at the end of the day, ethical responsibility? Ethical responsibility, we are not misusing any of the technologies. So, be it AI or be it a calculator or any other technology, the level is the same कि हमें misuse नहीं करना है. We just don't have to misuse it for any wrongful purposes. Even if we are using it, we are using it for the assistance, for the betterment of the way that we are teaching the any subject, be it law or be it any other subject also. We are only using it in a better way for assistance, reducing the work of the teachers. Like I said, when I asked a question, it took us 3 months to complete. Like Kalpesh sir also mentioned in the beginning of the lecture, 3 महीने लग जाते हैं एक सब्जेक्ट को पढ़ाने में. And if a teacher has multiple subjects to teach also, it is far more difficult to prepare the notes, the case laws. Then you have commentaries to read. Then there's so many multiple PDFs to go through. AI can, basically help you to minimize that and then help you to prepare the notes, all of this. So ethically just maintaining that, basically we are not crossing that line of misusing it. That's all that we are not misusing it. So far we are following, that is the standards we are following. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, the last question for the day is, can you please mention the price of Manupatra AI, Manu AI?
I believe it's on the website. However, tomorrow will be a session based on the same. My colleague will be in the position to, share the details of the same. Yeah.
Okay, sure, ma'am. Thank you so much. So, to briefly sum up this insightful session that Advocate Jain has shed light on, I would like to say that we have come across the use of AI in teaching law, teaching anything but specifically law. So, we have seen how we law teachers can summarize compile, from summarization to compilation, from sorting to filtering, and making notes, making some questions, and also teaching them moral accountability and responsibility. First, instilling it in ourselves, and then to our students. Thank you so much, ma'am. I would like to propose a formal vote of thanks on behalf of Nari Gursahani Law College, Ulhasnagar, and Law Teachers India. We extend our heartfelt thanks to you, Advocate Gitika Jain, Academic and Alliance Manager at Manupatra, for delivering an insightful session on introduction to use of AI in teaching and research in law. As a part of 1 week online national level faculty development program, ma'am, your session shed light on the key aspect that how we can use AI in our legal research. It was very informative, practical, and relevant for us teachers. And it has offered valuable perspectives on how we can integrate AI, how we can maintain ethics in our teaching and our learning. So, ma'am, we are really thankful to you for your time, expertise, and meaningful contribution to our learning. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you on behalf
Thank you,
of
ma'am.
my team at Manupatra, on behalf of my team at Manupatra Academy, Kalpesh sir, and to all the professors, Law Teacher India, faculties, any academicians who is present over here. Thank you for attending this session on a weekend. Wish you a happy new year once again. And I just want to exit by stating just one line that no matter any technology that comes to our country, and we have to adapt to the same, we just have to ensure that our students don't heavily rely on it and don't become handicapped to it. So we ensure that they go to the library, sit and factually check what they are using technology for. It should help them, it should assist them, it should reduce and minimize the work, but not just make them sit and relax and say, okay, मेरा काम तो आसान हो गया चैट जीपीटी यूज करके. So the answer should not come back that, ma'am, I did not research on the books, I just used a chat gpt and submitted my assignment. So that is my only, I think, key request to the professors, that at least whatever we could do is that we could ensure ki only go to the library, read it, understand it, analyze it, and come back, even if you have to use the technology. So thank you, Kalpesh sir. Thank you to each one of you who gave me this opportunity. It was a great session. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Raj sir, can you please stop the recording?
Yes.